You know what? The missus called me on the phone, and I pushed that decline button, that X, and it interrupted the whole live stream, and I never got it back. So I apologize. I had 2,000 people, and I was in full rant mode, and so I'm sorry for that. And this is what happens when I'm trying to do it myself on a cell phone. This is a huge improvement to what I did the other day when I was literally holding the phone in my hands. I found a little tripod at Mocha's desk, and I put this, it's still, the mic, I don't have a mic. And anyways, if folks want to say in the last chat a link to this chat, I'd be really grateful. We have about 100 people here. We had 2,000, and I was just giving her. So it was human error, not YouTube censorship. That is correct. It wasn't even human error. I don't know how to do this. This isn't the first time this happened to me. When I'm live streaming and I get a phone call on the same phone. I guess I could put it on airplane mode if I'm going off the Wi-Fi. Is that right? I think I could probably do that. I wonder if I'm smart enough to do that. There, I think I just did that. So I think I just turned it off so I will get no more phone calls. Sorry, I'm so low tech. I rely on Justin for the live streams we do, but it's officially still holidays around here. So thank you for being here. Hey, do me a favor, help me get some of the folks back who were watching a moment ago on the other stream. Can you like this and share this? And if you're still on the other stream, if that's still given, or I don't know if that's shut down already, maybe give them the link to this. But I was on a sustained rant about the fact that Tracy Allard isn't even a smart crook. If you are a public person in a public position, even if you're sort of a no-name, I'm not going to call her a backbencher, but she essentially was. If you're a first-term cabinet minister of no repute, probably, checking off some boxes, gender, geography, whatever. Even if you're that inconsequential a politician, you're still a big shot in your town, right? Grand Prairie, about 70,000 people. You're the MLA. Even if most of them don't know you. On the legislature, you're sort of a big deal. Pierre Trudeau, one of the things he said that was accurate, he says most MPs are nobodies 100 feet off Parliament Hill. And that's the truth. I mean, I'd put it to you that half the cabinet ministers federally would be anonymous strangers on the street. So, but there's going to be someone on the plane who recognizes you. You fly to Hawaii, there's probably 100 people on the plane. Don't you think one of them's going to know who you are? And even if you manage to get on an airplane and go to Hawaii and no one on the plane recognizes you, and then come back and no one on the plane recognizes you, and that's quite possible, especially if you got a mask and a hat and sunglasses, and you're trying to be sneaky about it. If you're in cabinet in the middle of an emergency, someone's going to know. We're in an official legal emergency, right? Do you know that? And what I mean by that is the powers that the government has to kill businesses, to lock you in your homes, to tell you what you can or cannot do, to tell you can't go to church, these are not natural powers. These are akin to the powers under the War Measures Act. And the War Measures Act was repealed. That's a federal law. And the Emergency Measures Act, I think it's now called, and there's one in each province as well. So we are officially in a state of emergency. And that grants to cabinet ministers really tyrannical powers. In fact, that's the word used by the Roman Empire 2 millennia ago for the overwhelming powers given to someone to save the empire in the state of crisis. So we have given this sociopathic liar who seems to be a little dumb to think she could get away with this. We've given her emergency powers because it's an emergency. And she leaves the province in the middle of an emergency because, as she said in her press conference this afternoon, it's her family tradition to go to Hawaii, and she's been doing it for 17 years straight. Hey, must be nice. Must be nice. 17 years in a row to Hawaii. You can't expect me to stop my routine of luxury because of some emergency, right? I mean, you've got a restaurant, you've got a church, you've got a gym, you've got a business, you've got employees, you've got an employer. You're a landlord that's trying to collect from tenants that are going broke. You're a tenant who's trying to pay the landlord, but you don't have customers. Forget about all that, guys. I've got this 17-year tradition of going to Hawaii, and let's make it 18. Let's make it 18. Who's with me? Let's go to Hawaii. Could you imagine she said that excuse today? Could you imagine? I'm not going to hang out with you guys. I'm not one of you poors. I'm going to Hawaii. You think I'm going to let some little emergency get in the way? Now, I say again, if she were a private citizen, I'd say go. Go to Hawaii. Go to Florida, where they seem to have very few of these crazy rules. Go to Texas. I hear it's pretty normal down there. Go to pretty much any red state. And don't go to California. Don't go to New York. I don't know what it's like in Hawaii. My beef is not that someone wants to get away from the Canadian cold. My beef is not that someone wants to fly. My beef is not that someone wants to get away from the lockdown. I want to get away from the lockdown. I'm running a company. I can't really do it. I would have liked to have gone somewhere warm for the winter, but I can't quarantine for 2 weeks. We have a family tradition. We drive down to Florida. I love the drive. We spend a week in the sun. We drive. I enjoy the drive. You can't do that. Can't do that. You know what? I'd like to go to Hawaii too. I haven't left the country since March. I'm not, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to break the law. We had a guy who went to do some reporting. We had two guys who went to Michigan to do some reporting as part of their job. They came back. They were forced to quarantine for 2 weeks. We took it to the Federal Court of Canada. The Federal Court of Canada said, tough luck. So we abided the law. And you know what? We're abiding the law. We're abiding this stupid lockdown. And the locker downer, the jailer, is not. That's what gets me. And that's what Tracy Allard and apparently Jason Kenney doesn't understand. It's not that I hate the airline industry. I love the airline industry. It's not that I hate travel to nice places. I love travel to nice places. I'd like to do it one day. It's not that I got a beef with Hawaii. I love Hawaii. I want to go to Hawaii. I want to take my whole company. I want to take everyone here to Hawaii because they've been working so hard to give them a week in the sun. Except I can't do that because of the quarantine rules and the lockdown. And the locker downer, the jailer, the cabinet minister sneaked away after she threw us in the lockdown. And that's the problem. And in her own press conference today, so Jason Kenney came out in the morning. Why? Why did he take punches to the face on his reputation for some no-name token cabinet appointee with no political capital? Why did Jason Kenney torch 5 years of, he used to be the head of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Why did he just torch his reputation for some no-name loser cabinet minister no one's ever heard of before? That's weird. Why did he go out there with his chin? So then when she was finally marshaled a couple hours later, she said, well, it's just a tradition. And I had plans, and it was 17 years and you can't break that. She doesn't know what she's done wrong. She said, I had a poor judgment and I'm sorry if I offended anybody. That's what is called in Chinese an ironic apology. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. Oh, so you're not sorry for what you did? Oh, yes, I made a mistake. Why? Because I offended people and because I was caught. I don't think, and I'll have to watch it again because I was following it on Twitter and it was online and it was taken off. So I was actually going by a number of journalists who were typing the questions and the answers. So I don't know if I got it perfectly. But I don't think Tracy Allard actually acknowledged what she did wrong and why it was wrong. She knows going to Hawaii was wrong because it's gotten her in trouble and she may have offended somebody. But I don't think she articulated why it was wrong. I don't think she thinks it was wrong. I think she's confused by it. What did I do wrong? It's, 17 years I've been doing this. Why? I didn't break any laws. She doesn't understand what she did was wrong because she's our jailer. She's our locker downer. She's abusing everyone else with fines and tickets and lockdowns and punishments and tasers. And then she skedaddles off in an emergency. The only reason they get away with this is because it's an emergency and she thought it's fine to leave in an emergency. So maybe it's not an emergency. So what am I going to do about it? Well, we got this thing called Rebel News. And we have 3,010 supporters in Grand Prairie. I checked yesterday. That's a lot of people. There's 70,000 people who live in Grand Prairie. So that's probably 30,000 homes. So 1 in 10 homes in Grand Prairie is a Rebel home. That's a lot. I mean, that's incredible, actually. That would be like having, 80,000 supporters in Toronto. That's a lot. And I could be wrong. Maybe they're all just thrilled that their ruler went to Hawaii while they were in a lockdown. I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't done a poll yet. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm the one who's out of touch. But I think that, here's what I think. Step one, I think Tracy Allard should resign. I know that sounds odd, but the longer she remains in caucus, the longer this festers as a problem. That's what Doug Ford understood. Rod Phillips was a disgraceful sociopathic liar with the fake social media posts. Terrible, terrible. He was a big shot, as I mentioned in the other live stream before I got cut off. But Doug Ford realized he had to cut him overboard, throw him overboard, or he was going to pull the whole thing down. And he's right. There's a little bit of reverb from that, but it's done. Bizarrely, Jason Kenney has decided to keep this rotting albatross. I don't know why, but as the hours turn into days, turn into weeks, this wound will fester. The opposition, the media, it's going to go from bad to worse. I don't get it. And I think that I think other MLAs are going to start to say, what are you doing? Get out of here. They're going to say, you're sinking the ship. They're going to say, you better resign. If you love this government, if you love this party, if you love Jason Kenney, if you love our success, you better resign. You're stinking up the joint. You're all anyone's talking about. You're the symbol of why this lockdown is abusive. I think people are going to say that because that's what I'm thinking. And I should tell you, yesterday, there's a lot of radio stations in Grand Prairie, more than I thought. I haven't been in Grand Prairie in at least 3 years. Got a lot of radio. And I looked up the biggest one, and I sent them an email. I know it was a holiday. It was December 31. I said, can you put together an ad campaign for me? Like a budget. Then I went on to Pattison Outdoor, the billboard company. I started looking at the billboards. I want to get some billboards and radio. And you know our lawn signs, right? Have you ever seen our lawn signs? We've done lawn signs with Sheila Gunn-Reid before for her book about Rachel Notley called Stop Notley. We've done lawn signs for Justin Trudeau before. The Libranos, maybe you even had one of them. I told you already we have 3,010 Rebel News supporters in Grand Prairie. 3,010. Imagine 3,010 lawn signs saying fireallard.com. Hey, I didn't even think I mentioned that website to you. Is that website given her? How does that website look? Fireallard.com. Can you go there for a second? Don't close this window. Okay, I'm on fireallard.com right now. Looks like we have 1,622 signatures. There's some yellow text there. Can you get A10 to change that? I can't even see that on my website. Like yellow on white, it doesn't really work. Maybe that's supposed to be a link or something? Yeah, I can't read it. So we're doing the petition. We have 1,622 signatures. And what's the donate button for? Why is that?
Pay for all your billboards.
Because we got to pay for the billboards and the radio and the lawn signs. And I want to do a poll. Just yesterday, I think I connected with a new pollster.
I emailed your super chats from the last stream.
Okay, thank you. Margaret's here in the office helping me out. Thank goodness. Let me read some of the super chats. I see B. Bappa says, Sic Semper Tyrannis. I know what that means. It's a little bit of Latin. Thus always to tyrants. Chris Dowell, £5. Thanks, Chris. I don't know if you're even watching on this stream now. Lucas Frank, $10. You don't know a good thing till it's gone. The saying goes, and I jumped on this live stream like a starved man on a piece of steak. Thank you. Julia A, $21. Thanks, Julia. I'm sorry. I don't even know if you're watching because I lost 2,000 viewers when the missus called. Marilyn Walls, $10. It's the inconsistency in regulations across the country. This and the deception. Well, it's like when Al Gore or Leonardo DiCaprio are on their yachts or private jets talking about global warming. You know they don't mean it. You know they're inauthentic. And you know they're a scammer. And you don't really care because there's no global environmental lockdown, right? So they want to blah, 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 green this, environment that. Shut up. Who cares? No problem. No skin off my nose. But this is different. They're locking you down. They're shutting your business down. They're costing you your job. And they don't mean it. Because you can't actually mean that there's an emergency if you're scuppering off to Hawaii in the dark of night. Do you see my point? If they were living in the same prison they made for us, at least we'd be all in it together. But it's like they're the elite, super elite, in the spaceship above us all, and we're in the lockdown down, and they're eating caviar up there. They're drinking Mai Tais, pina coladas on the beach in Hawaii. I can't read all the super chats. I don't have time because my battery's dying. I'm sorry about that. I'm really having a rough go of it today. But here's what I'm going to do. It's Friday, January 1st. It's technically a holiday. I'm going to talk to Sheila Gunn, Reed, and Kean Beckstein. No. Thank you, though. And we're going to make a plan. And the plan is to get Tracy Allard to resign because the moral balance of the universe demands it. Justice demands it. You can't lock down other people and then excuse yourself from the lockdown. That's the problem here. My MLA went to Hawaii and all I got was this stupid lockdown. That's what this is about. I got no beef with Hawaii. I dearly wish I was there today. Got no beef with air travel. I wish it was all liberated. When you're on a plane, you realize it's BS pretty quick because they let you take your mask off when you're having your pretzels and coffee. You're sitting cheek by jowl, as they say, right next to the guy next to you. You're fighting over the armrest. That's how close you are. Mask off because you have a bottle of water. So you know it's a BS. I'm for liberalized air travel. Let everyone go to Hawaii. Stop these stupid quarantine bubbles, whatever. That's not what this is about. Jason Kenney spent half his speech talking about we got to save WestJet. Hey, I agree. What's that got to do with one of the emergency lockdown jailer cabinet ministers scuppering away, letting the rest of us fester in her lockdown rules? And it's not a gentle lockdown. It was a gentle lockdown in Alberta until about a month ago. And then they caved in to the health security deep state, and it's had a vengeance. And to me, the symbol of that is the arrests of Christian pastors and the threatened tasering of Ocean Weisblatt at that outdoor rink. So I have to tell you, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that Jason Kenney decided to torch so much of his personal capital for some nobody who's not even smart about her deception. And by the way, it's a deception. Jason Kenney implied that everything was above board. No, it ain't. You don't sneak away if it's above board. You don't put up deceptive Christmas videos and falsely tag them as being in the Alberta legislature. You don't do that if you're above board. She deceived him. Now, I bet there's a number of cabinet ministers who've sneaked away. Maybe he's thinking, well, I got to fire one, I got to fire them all. You know what? How about starting off with firing one? So Doug Ford did. It's incredible to me that Doug Ford was better on this than Jason Kenney. And Doug Ford threw a genuine star onto the bus. No one's even heard of Tracy Allard. I got to remember her name every time I say it. So we got to get her to resign because the moral balance of the universe depends. You cannot do that. And when she was pressed today to explain why what she did was wrong, she couldn't. All she said was because it may have offended someone. That's what the Chinese call an ironic apology. An ironic apology is, I'm sorry that you were offended. It's not an apology at all. Oh, I'm sorry you misinterpreted. I'm sorry you were offended. I'm sorry you were upset. That's an insult, not an apology. She doesn't know why what she did was wrong. And frankly, Kenney didn't explain it. It's not wrong because it's flying. It's not wrong because it's Hawaii. It's wrong because you're the jailer, and you got to be in the jail cell with the rest of us. And if you don't want to be, then how about let the rest of us out of the jail? If this jail is stupid, if this jail is unnecessary, then why are we in it? And the fact that you thought that your 17-year tradition of a luxury beach vacation gave you some moral exemption. You know, there's a lot of restaurants that have had a 17-year tradition of being in business. Would that work for them? Oh, Your Honor, I stayed open despite the lockdown orders because I have a 17-year tradition. That actually means something. 17-year tradition of serving willing customers and paying employees and giving a livelihood to people. Oh, you know what? In 17 years, I don't want to jinx it. For 17 years, I'm in the routine. I had to do it. Geez, you guys, I'm sorry if you were offended. You're so touchy, you guys. Unbelievable. I am surprised because Jason Kenney he's fancy and populist at the same time. And I would have thought that his populist side would let him see what's wrong here. I guess not. So I know what I'm doing on Monday. On Monday, me and Sheila and Kian, we're going to fire Allard. Now, obviously, we don't have the power to do that. Only the Premier has the power to fire a cabinet minister. It is my goal to make it so that Allard quits or has to be fired, or there's a caucus revolt that demands that she be fired, or that she's called in one day and has a bit of a talking to and is told to go out and say what Rod Phillips said, which is, I resign. And you know what? I see some chatter on Twitter about, oh, this is doing what Rachel Notley would want to do. No. See, Rachel Notley is as crooked as they come. Her husband, the boss of a big government sector. They're all about perks and feather beds and special status. But that chatter implies that to be loyal to Alberta is to be loyal to a Conservative Party ahead of Albertans, and to turn a blind eye to corruption, because this is a form of corruption, this is a form of breaking the rule of law. And I say the opposite. You got to clean house. If you actually care about the United Conservative Party, if you care about Jason Kenney's term as Premier, if you care about the province itself, and if you actually want Jason Kenney to win next time, and I'd put myself in all those categories, by the way, then you got to clean out this rot before it festers, before it spreads. Doug Ford, I didn't think he was going to do it. He sacked Rod Phillips because he didn't want Rod Phillips to envelop his whole government. This is not going away. This isn't going away on its own. And Michelle and Keane are about to put an enormous effort into getting Tracy Allard to resign. And we've got 3,010 friends in Grand Prairie. I think we can grow that number. I think that at the very least, we can challenge her in her nomination next time. I think her board of directors in the local UCP District Association have to own her or disown her. And if they won't, then they should be replaced also. I think there should be such an albatross around the neck of everyone in that government and that party that they say, you've got to resign. And you know what? My friend Sheila was tweeting about this, and I didn't. It's her story to tell. It's not mine. But as she has said on Twitter, her own mother passed away recently, and we're all very sorry about that personal loss. And she was limited to 10 people at the funeral, while this sociopathic liar, deceiver, jailer, rule enforcer ran away to Hawaii to get away from her own rules. And that's what this is about, you know? As my friend David Menzies says, one rule for thee, one rule for me. No. And I will do what it takes, and my friends will do what it takes, and Albertans will do what it takes, and the 3,010 rebels in Grand Prairie will do what it takes. And if you go to fireallard.com and sign the petition, I'll keep you posted on that. We will get this crooked rule breaker out. So help me God, play this tape back to me in a month or two, and let us see if I can live up to this promise. Because this woman does not have the moral authority to govern anyone, because she failed to govern herself. She does not have the moral authority to boss anyone because she was insubordinate to her own rules. She does not have the ability to tell anyone else they can or can't do things because it's an emergency, when she thought a greater emergency was keeping her 17-year streak of going to Hawaii's beaches unbroken. And even in the most important press conference in her life, she was too stupid and morally obtuse to understand what she did wrong, other than offending people, which means she thinks they got it wrong. Tracy Allard must be expelled from the cabinet. And if Jason Kenney won't do it, whether it's in some, strange sense of loyalty to a nobody-nothing loser who's torched his credibility, or whether it's because there's other people who he thinks domino effect will have to fire, I don't care. The people of Grand Prairie will throw off this abusive, rule-breaking deceiver. And on that note, let me invite you to go to fireallard.com. That's it for me. Sorry I'm scruffy. I sure need a haircut. I didn't shave today. I was in vacation mode here in snowy Canada, not in sunny Hawaii. All right, my friends, thanks for joining. I'm sorry I didn't read all the super chats. My battery's dying. I got to go anyways. It's a pleasure being with you. Thank you for joining. Sorry to the 2,000 people that were on the first live stream that got screwed up when the missus called. I got to call her back now. So that's it for me. On behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters and around the country, to you at home, goodbye, and keep fighting for freedom.